Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we look at Fox Spirit Matchmaker episode 13, which I believe ends the first season, or the first main part, because if you go on Mal right now, you'll actually see that it's labeled as the last episode for this season, and then the next season starts at episode 14, which will be the next arc. So yeah, it's a little confusing, but I presume that this is going to be the end of the first season, and then next week will be the beginning of the second, hopefully, if it goes right into it. I'm presuming it will, though. Now, I'll tell you guys and girls right now, I have been humbled and honored at the same time to do the reviews for Fox Spirit Matchmaker. I have done a lot of reviews on my channel, and it's crazy that I get a lot of different feedback. I'm used to different feedback. But the thing is with Fox Spirit Matchmaker, I had so many of the Chinese audience reach out to me via comments and even putting me on Bilibili, which you could see. I don't know who does that, but they actually translate what I say into Chinese, and everyone can watch it over there and watch my reviews of the first season so far, which is, I think it's cool. For me at least, I think it's cool. Some people are like, oh, someone's making money off it. I don't care. That's not a big deal to me. I don't do this for money. I do this for enjoyment. And, that doesn't mean upload everything on YouTube, mind you. If I started seeing like that left and right, I'd be a little more pissed off about that. But, onto a Chinese site, I think that's just really cool. And, I've actually had a lot of people that don't speak, English try to reach out to me in the best way they can. And it's just incredible. I really am touched. So everyone that's been sticking with me for this so far, thank you so much. You've made reviewing this so much fun. And that's why in many ways, I want to do this series honor, in terms of reviewing it. It's not, I'll say this right now, the first season, and I know I'm not alone by this because even the people that reached out to me told me the same thing. The first season isn't that great. It's very hit or miss, and it's more miss than hit at times. But I'll say this right out, for me at least, it was enjoyable. And even on Mal right now, it's sitting at a 7, so that means that I'm not alone with that. I know that other people found enjoyment in this series. With this week's episode, though, let's talk about that. I'm not going to keep talking anymore. I just want to say to everyone that's been watching these reviews and has been reaching out to me, regardless if your English is your native language or not, thank you very much. It really humbles me, and I'm so grateful that you find my content worth watching and that someone is finding it worth reviewing and putting into a translation. Because I know I can't do that myself, so that's great that someone's doing that. So I hope, to the person who's doing that, continue doing that. You have my honor with that, or my blessing with that, excuse me. So definitely go do that. It's perfectly fine. Now, I will say this right now. This week's episode was pretty good. I really liked it. There was a lot of funny moments, but also some serious moments, which was nice. The fact that we have Haku essentially going into his full, power mode, I'm going to call it, because it's just... He's basically unleashed with that whole spirit that was attached to him. He clearly what looked like killed Susu at first, but we find out that actually what his tears do is they actually send you into different realms. It's pretty cool, actually. That's actually a very odd power. Apparently, when he has control over it, if he actually had regular control over it, and he's sliced up someone with his powers, that would separate them into different realms, and there'd be no way for them to even survive. But in the case of Susu, when he hit her with his power, all it did was send her somewhere else for a couple of minutes. And what was funny about that was, when the old man was trying to figure out, where is he going to end up? Oh, he's going to end up right in front of her. And then all of a sudden, she just appeared right in front of him. I thought that was hilarious. I started cracking. I'm like, wow, that's very convenient for timing. That's pretty funny. But what was interesting, though, from this is that we see also more of Toho's past. We see, Haku's original ancestor, and we see how basically he was involved in a lot of things with the Unification League, but he was involved in various duels, etc. Namely, he was involved in a duel with Susu's. I forgot where. Oh, it's Coco. That's Susu's reincarnation or original version was Coco. And by the way, feel free to correct me in the comments below. There's a lot of story and lore to the series. It's very hard to keep up with it at times, and the week break didn't help me. I started forgetting slight things here and there. But Coco had fought alongside Toho at one point, but then, they had to fight themselves, and apparently that's the reason why we have the other girl, the other fox, being so pissed off at him, is because apparently he killed her at one point. I'm presuming that might not be the case, but I don't think we're going to find out that much, per se, next week, because here's the thing. Next week's episode, which is the start of the new arc, looks like it goes back in time to when Toho or Haku, you know, his original ancestor, was a kid, and apparently was homeless and found someone to take him in, and obviously the person who took him in realized he had some kind of power, so he took him into the group and stuff like that. So we're gonna go into that, which is interesting. So here's the thing of the day: the first season. I'm not gonna review the whole series yet. I'm gonna review the first season. The first season has had moments where, you know, obviously because they changed it from the Chinese animation slightly in terms of, well, not slightly, pretty big some points, in terms of voice acting, obviously, in terms of, you know, overall sound quality, in terms of even some of the fight scenes themselves being censored in the Japanese version. Which, by the way, I have seen a decent portion of some of the bigger fights because you guys have been linking me the original versions of them, and yeah, there's a big difference in terms of animation and sound in the Chinese / Japanese version, which is crazy. But, you know, I'm gonna say this right now. What I plan on doing, I told many of you this. I want to watch the whole first thing. So I did watch the whole first thing first before I go to watch some of the Chinese stuff, or the Chinese version of it, I should say. Now, I know from several people they said don't rewatch the whole thing because that would be a waste of time. Just watch the fights and just watch a few of the specific moments. I couldn't say that word for a second. That is one of the hardest words for me to say sometimes. Some of the specific moments, rewatch those, and then, you know, make a decision based on that. So I have seen a decent amount now. So I'm going to say this right now. You know, if you're going off the Chinese animation of this, the animation, the sound, everything was really good. You know, it wasn't perfect. The animation still was kind of sketchy here and there at the beginning. You know, it's not the best Chinese animation I've ever seen. I've seen better. King's Avatar, for example, was beautiful. But, you know, it was a decent show. You know, the Chinese version of it. And the Japanese version of it, it's still good. It's not bad by any means. It's just that some of the fights, because they were, you know, kind of cut shorter, or not, well, not shorter, but cut in ways that the sound changed and how they censored, like, for example, some more violent stuff, it kind of kills it a little bit. That's why I'll say that animation, depending on what you're watching, can be okay to just alright. There's a difference between the two. I know it sounds kind of weird with that, but it's not a huge difference either. I mean, like, there's only slight differences. The biggest difference is where the sound is. The sound of the Chinese version is 20 times better. And really, if you can watch this in Chinese, go and do that. Go see if you can find it on YouTube. I believe that several people have actually been translating a lot of the episodes into English on there. I don't know if they're still up there. I don't know where exactly they are off the top of my head, so I can't really... I'm not going to leave links in the description boxes. I think that'd be kind of rude in its own right, but because I don't know if they're legit or not. But, you know, you can find some of the episodes online. I've seen some of them already, and it's just, they're way, way better. They're, like, with the sound quality, so much better. In terms of story, I actually like the story. Regardless if it's Chinese or the Japanese version of it, the story has not really taken too much of a hit. The only thing that has taken a hit is in terms of the terminology, which luckily this is where I love you guys that have been telling me from the Chinese version of it, the Chinese audience in general, has been telling me what has been changing and what, like, you know, for example, Haku not being a monk but actually a Taoist warrior and stuff like that, you know. So thank you guys. Keep that up. I really, you know, I appreciate that. Trust me. And the constant support helps me out with it because I can give you guys better reviews and I can make corrections when I continue doing reviews for it. But if I had a review Fox Spirit Matchmaker between an A through F, I'm going to give it a solid C. I think that's a fair score. And here's where we're going to do a little twist on it, which I said I would. Now, if I'm reviewing the original version of Fox Spirit Matchmaker, the first season, I will give that a B-. There's a big difference. The music and audio and just the way some of the wording works is way better in the original version. So I really highly recommend, if you can watch it somewhere, watch it somewhere. But, you know, I'm not going to say where. I mean, there's places online you can watch them. I'm not promoting those websites, mind you, but there are places you can watch it. But yeah, it's crazy how change of audio and even some of the scenes and even just some of the wording and terminology make more sense, that it changes the story and it changes kind of the concepts of it a lot more. So I will say that the Chinese version is a lot better. You know, animation still is sketchy, like I said before, so it's not the best animation you're going to get. But with the second season coming out, I'm very curious because it looks like we have some boosted up animation, so I'm very curious. And from my Chinese audience, they've been telling me that apparently it's a lot better in animation standards, so we'll see. Alright, anyways, guys and girls, I am done my review. As always, I thank you for your time and patience. I will talk to you guys later. If you like my reviews, you know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video around, check out my Patreon for various rewards, etc. And as always, until our paths cross again in the next review, everyone, God bless you all. Bye-bye.